Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Dog Owner Podcast. I am Vinnie. I'm with Brent. And today's episode is going to be learning about Brent. I want to learn everything to know about why he is a dog trainer, what shaped him into the dog trainer that he is. And there's just some things that I want to know personally. So I'm excited to go through this list. Brent, I have about 10 questions here for you. So
Oh, crap.
So this is a beautiful thing. Just so everybody knows, Brent owns Canis Dog Training
Behavior and
in
training. Yep.
Behavior and Training in Los Angeles. He's a beautiful new facility that I'm extremely jealous of. He also is one of the co-hosts of Dog Trainers podcast. And realistically, guys, he is one of the best people in the world. I'm not just saying this because I'm standing next to the guy or looking at the guy. Brent used the phrase that I was the salt of the earth, and I actually couldn't disagree more. I think Brent is a salt of the earth guy, one of the best people you ever meet. He helps everybody. That is probably one of his biggest flaws, is how much he just loves and helps people. So Brent, today's the day that I find out more about you, brother, and I'm excited to bring this to the whole audience. So I guess I'll just start with a basic one. Was there an exact moment that made you realize, hey, I want to train dogs? Because you started pretty young, if I can remember correctly, younger than I did.
Yeah, I started when I was like 18, 19, like 18 turning 19. Yeah, there was a time there's two pivotal moments in my life that had to do with dog training. One was when I was 23, I was like, okay, I'm doing this full time. Like, this is my career, right? Like, when I moved, so I'm from San Bernardino, California. Those of you guys who don't know where San Bernardino is, it's in that Route 66 song, right? Like they say San Bernardino in that song. And the claim to fame with San Bernardino is that is the hometown of McDonald's, like the famous burger place, McDonald's. And
Is that
that's
what
where,
McDonald's is?
that's where the McDonald's brothers first opened up their very first stand, right down the
Shit.
street from my brother's old high school. And it's a museum. And that's the claim to fame. And if you guys have watched The Founder, that movie on the McDonald's guy, that's the guy who stole the idea from the brothers and created a franchise around their model, right? Their whole model was like, I want to have like 3 things on the menu: fries, burgers, and drinks, and we want to pump them out like a conveyor belt. And anyways, that's San Bernardino, right? That's where like Big Bear, Lake Arrowhead. If you guys hear, it's one of the biggest counties in California. So San Bernardino County is the biggest spot. But when I left there after I graduated high school, I was 17. I moved out to LA to, do the whole Hollywood hustle thing, right? I was in the film program. I was a dancer. I was a performer. I wasn't a theater kid because I didn't like to identify as a theater kid, but I could act, if that makes sense. Like, I wasn't like singing and dancing and singing freaking Queen all the time, like some theater kids, but I was talented. I like to express myself in a bunch of different ways. I played the piano. I was a singer for many years. And so I came to LA thinking that I was going to do some type of performance, and I went to film school, right? So I got accepted into film school out here at Cal State Northridge. And when I was out here, I was volunteering at the animal shelters. Luckily I got a scholarship to go to college for at least for like a year, for 2 years. And I got a grant for film. I got a state grant. I got all this money I didn't have to pay for college, which was great. And the funny part was, I moved out here for all that stuff. And because I had like a lot of time on my hands, I just started volunteering at the shelters. And when I was volunteering at the shelters, I got this. I remember when I was interviewing you, Vinny, you were talking about like, I watched every episode of Caesar Milan. And I was like, dude, I watched every episode of Caesar Milan, like literally like back-to-back seasons, like anything on Nat Geo that replay, or anything on like any of those channels, I'd catch every single episode. But yeah, so I don't know what the best place to start here, man, because my story kind of goes far back. It goes really far back.
Take us back, dude. We got nothing but time.
Yeah, so I relate to you in a lot of ways after hearing your story. So I'm the younger brother of a brother who's 5 years older than me. The funny part is I'm the youngest of 4, right? So they're all 2 years apart, and then I was born 5 years later. So I was like the youngest brother my brother right above me was 5 years older than me. But even though I had siblings, it kind of felt like I was an only child in a way, right? Like I never had the same friends as my brothers. I never hung out with them. Like they were too old to hang out with me. Like they were kind of forced to include me and stuff a lot. So this meant, a lot of my childhood, I was just kind of watching them all the time. So like the funny part is like my sister took singing lessons, right? And I remember just sitting there. I would just watch and observe her during her singing lessons, and then I'd be in the bathroom like, like practicing in the shower to see if I could make notes happen. And my other brother took piano lessons. I remember sitting playing with my blocks while he's doing piano lessons, and then I'd watch him play piano. And then when he was done, I'd go and I'd push the ivories a little bit and like try and fuck with it. And then my other brother, he'd play guitar. And so I wasn't allowed to touch his guitar. So it would always be like when he was out of the house, and I'd grab his guitar and I'd try and play and make noise out of it. Right. And I remember it was really cool to take a back seat to watch my siblings, because I got to learn a lot by just watching them be themselves. I got to see their temperaments and their personalities, and like the things that they liked, and how they got in trouble, how they got out of trouble. Like I got to see all this cool stuff. And I think being the youngest brother was a blessing in many, many ways. Because I got to like what you said in your episode, I got to steal a lot with my eyes. I got to take a lot of, keep the good things and scrap the bad things that I saw. And also, it was funny is like by the time my parents got to their fourth kid, they were kind of like over parenting. They were done parenting. They were just like, yeah, like so the amount of time that I spent unsupervised as a child at that point, we grew up on an acre of land, and we'd be off like in the clubhouse, and I fell off this 2-story clubhouse like multiple times, and like never went to the hospital. And luckily I never broke a bone, but like the amount of injuries we had as children, like just being like these free roam kids, was tremendous. And I don't know if that means my mom was a good mom or she just trusted that we'd be fine. Like, but we were always fine, thank God. And we always had each other. But I tell you all that because one thing that I really sought after as a kid, as most children do, is deep connection, right, with something. And I wasn't getting it from my siblings. Like I hung out with them every now and then. I was kind of like forced to like, can I play video games with you guys? And be like, oh, get out of here. They'd always do big brother, big sister shit. And it never felt to me like I was welcomed with my siblings, right? But as the story goes, I was always welcome with my dogs, right? So I can remember, like we had 5 dogs when I was a kid. My grandmother lived next door to us. So my dad bought the house next door for my grandma. And my grandma, she's Peruvian. So my mom's mom lived next door. And she's an old lady. She would rescue every single dog that jumped into her property. So at some point she had like 8 rescue dogs. So like my grandma had 8 rescue dogs. I had 5 dogs of my own. And the properties, you hop a 4-foot fence and now you're at grandma's house, And it was really cool because at a young age, grandma and my parents always gave me lots of attention, but at a young age, I would just be with the dogs. I'd literally be digging holes with the dogs and like laying in the hole with them. And I would be chasing them, or like one of my dogs, my cattle dog, he loved like chewing the sprinklers, like the sprinklers would turn on and he'd fuck them all up. And then I'd be like, no, Ralph. And I'd just be getting wet with him, be like, don't chew the sprinklers, Ralph. And then I would go to my grandma's house, and my grandma had all these rescue dogs, and half of them were protective as shit, and half of them were trying to bite you. Some of them liked you. Some of them, if you got too close to my grandma, they'd snip at you. And those were the days. And I know we reminisce about these days, is like, those were the days that when a dog snapped at you, your adults were like, what'd you do to the dog?
What did you do wrong?
What did you do to the dog? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, why would you do that? Like, he's growling at you. Why would you pet him? And it was so much like, yeah, duh, stupid. Like, you're right. He was growling at you. So then you started to realize like, okay, that dog doesn't like me. The little black and white one doesn't like me. The one with the crusts on their eyes is cool. Like, like you just get to kind of pay attention to what does liking me look like and what doesn't it look like. Right. So the dog that I remember being the most attached to and close to was my dog Crispy. And Crispy was a Chow Chow. She was a half Chow, mostly Chow Chow, probably like 3/4 Chow Chow. The other stuff, I don't know what she was, but she was the sweetest female dog that I remember. And she had, later in life, I had a dog. Her name was Big Mama, and she was a big Tibetan Mastiff, and she was actually like the big giant version of Crispy. And Crispy had kind of this maternal energy about her. Like she would come, she'd lick your face. If you were alone, she'd go and sit by you and lay next to you and like entertain you. And she was always checking in on you, right? Without being too pushy, like some dogs can be like, pet me, pet me, pet me, right? And I just always remember that I felt like loved and protected by Crispy, right? And it was really cool. It was really cool to have this relationship with all these dogs. And, it felt like they were just like extensions of my siblings. Like I just have all these other canine siblings that like some of them like me, some of them don't like me. Sometimes they like me. It all depends, right? But the most consistent one was Crispy. And I remember, so something kind of traumatic happened when I was a little kid. When I was a kid, a bunch of dogs jumped into my yard and they beat up all my dogs. And I remember my neighbor's dog, he had 2 Presto Canarios, and they jumped over the fence. Some of the other neighbors' dogs jumped over the fence. And I lived in kind of a neighborhood where no one spayed and neutered their dogs, right? And I didn't know it then, but ultimately my female dog was in heat. And all the boys on the block came into the yard, and all my boy dogs they were all fixed. All my boy dogs were fixed, so they didn't, but they were fighting these dogs off. They were like, get off the property. Who the fuck are you? And long story short, all my dogs got beat up, right? So out of the 5 dogs, 3 of them were like fighting dogs off. And I had another dog, Snow, who was like a big white German Shepherd. And, he was taking the brunt of it because he was the biggest motherfucker in the room. So most of the dogs were trying to attack him. And then some of the other dogs were actually trying to mount Crispy, right? Like they were trying to like mate with her. And it was a bloodbath, man. Like I remember being 9 years old, going out there and my siblings just being like grabbing the hose and grabbing the shovel and like trying to get all these dogs out of here. And we knew who some of the dogs were. So they got on the phone and called the neighbors like, come and get your dogs. Like what's going on? And, long story short, man, after all of that, my dog Snow, he got beat up real bad and he passed away. And my dog Crispy,
Take your time, dude.
who was my best friend, she was bleeding out. And my parents were at work at the time, right? So they were out running my dad's office. And I remember Crispy, my dad was working on this truck and he had it on like jacks, and she always liked to go under the truck for like shade and sleep and stuff. And I remember after all the commotion is over, she's just limping and bleeding out, and I can actually see blood dripping from her sides. And she goes to rest, like she's exhausted. She goes to rest and she goes under this truck. And I remember crawling under there with her. And I just remember like stroking her and being like, it's going to be okay. You're going to be all right. And the hard part is I knew my dog was going to die. And I remember being a little kid and thinking very, very significant thoughts. One was, I wish I could take you to the vet, but I don't know how to drive, right? I remember being like, I wish I could take you because maybe if I could drive you, then someone would be nice and help you, And I remember being like, but I don't have any money. Like I'm 9 years old. I don't have any money. Like I couldn't pay for anything. Right. And I wasn't even thinking about my parents at this time. I was thinking about like what I could do to save you and help you. And I just remember feeling really helpless as a kid, being like, I'm only 9. I don't know what to do. I can't help you. I can't drive. I have no money. All I can do is sit here and just be with you and try and assure you that everything's going to be okay. But I knew nothing was going to be okay. So in that time while I was under the truck with Crispy, she passed away. And I remember seeing her take her last breaths. And I just remember taking that pain, putting it in a box in my brain, putting it down in the cellar, covering it up with a bunch of shit, and just tucking it away. So from 9 years old to 17, 18 years old, you know, it was a significant thing to me. It's so funny because it was right when Biggie Smalls died. Remember Tupac, Biggie Smalls? And that song that P. Diddy came out with, that was like, every step you take, every smile, right? So that song was on the radio all the time, and I would just cry because it just made me think about my dog. And again, 9 years old, don't have a lot of friends like that I'm going to tell this story to. So it was all in this internal struggle. So when I'm 17, 18 years old and I'm at the shelter and I'm helping these dogs, I didn't know it was called rescue at the time, but I was helping these dogs. I watched every episode of Caesar Milan. I also worked on my uncle's thoroughbred boarding facility from the time that I was like 11 till I was like 17. And so I worked with animals my whole life. And so I'm helping these dogs, walking these dogs, sometimes pack walking these dogs and playing with these dogs and being calm and assertive as you're supposed to be with them.
Come on now, bring it out.
And I didn't know that it was called rescue at the time, but I just remember helping these dogs, getting them comfortable, getting them to relax, and getting them to some of them to actually be put into general population, right? Like some of them were kind of naughty dogs and I wasn't supposed to touch them, but I touched them. I took them out and I convinced some of the staff members, like, this dog seems to be doing a lot better, and I was able to get these dogs adopted, and I thought it was really cool. And so I'm there for 6 months. I'd go to the shelter as long as they were open, as long as they'd have volunteers. And I'd be there a solid, 8-hour shift, right? I'm not even getting paid, just going because I felt like I was doing something cool. And at the same time, I'm in film school. I'm like in the prerequisites for film, and I'm, in college, and I have roommates, and we're partying every weekend, and all this cool stuff, like all this college stuff. And I just always looked forward to going to the shelter. And there was this pair of dogs that came in. There was a pit bull and a Rottweiler, and they were like a bonded pair from the same family. And I got the pit bull a home, right? Like he was really handsome, really sweet. And there was a family that I talked to that adopted him, after one meeting. And I felt like, oh, win, perfect. Now I just got to get your brother a home, right? And so I was sitting on this dog. His name was Chucky. And I would go and I'd play with Chucky, and my buddy Rudy, who I just ran into the other day, I hadn't seen in 20 years, who was there with me at the shelter, helping me with Chucky. And we were, throwing the ball, running around. And there was this 16-year-old little girl who was there. Now, mind you, I'm 18, like it's not that much older, but this 16-year-old volunteer who she didn't get it. Like she loved dogs, but didn't have a way with animals at all. And anytime she'd walk by us in the hall or in the kennel, like Chucky just hated her, right? And would like under his breath, and like she would be like, "Oh, Chucky, stop," and it was just annoying. And we'd be like, "Hey, I don't remember her name. We'll call her fucking Stacy. Like, Stacy, Chucky doesn't like you, right? Like, go away." And like she was just like this annoying volunteer. And so one day, me and my friend Rudy, we're out in the yard, and it's a hot day in the summertime. And Chucky's in like this little kiddie pool that we have, and we've just finished playing with him, and he's sitting in this kiddie pool to hang out. And I go to clean up some dog shit, and this girl, Stacy, she walks in, and she goes, "Hey guys," and Chucky's just in this pool going, and we're like, "Stacy, get out of here. He doesn't like you." And she goes, "Anyways, what are you guys doing?" And we're just like, "Stacy, go away." So then I turn my back to go dump the poop in the basket. All of a sudden I hear, "Oh no, oh no." And I'm just like, "What the fuck? What happened?" And she walks over to Chucky to try and pet him while he's in the pool. And Chucky just tags her 3 times in the stomach. Pop, pop, pop. And she lifts up her shirt and she has puncture, puncture, puncture. And I just remember, instead of me being like, "Are you okay, Stacy?" I was like, "What the fuck did you just do?" Right? So my head was just like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" And she's holding her stomach and she falls to the floor. And I just remember just thinking like, he's going to die. This dog's going to die. No, he's going to die. He's such a good dog. And I end up throwing this huge fit at the shelter. right? And I end up, uh, I'm like super not compassionate towards Stacy at this time. I'm like so pissed that
You
this
should
dog.
not be, dude.
I'm so pissed because we warned her hundreds of times. She didn't care. She didn't listen. And the dog, the only one that's going to suffer, other than her, right? She did get bit, is this dog. And I remember just being fucking pissed and knowing for a fact he was going to die, knowing for a fact they were going to put him down. And the sad part is it was like a Friday, and I had someone look at him and play with him and like him and said, I'm going to go home. I'm going to talk to my wife. We'll come back on Monday. And I was just like, cool. I have a home lined up for this guy. How cool is that? So there's just all these dominoes falling at the same time. And, you know, in retrospect, I should have been more compassionate and, and all that stuff. But I just remember being pissed, and I'm throwing this fit. And at this time, I was friends with one of the officers of the West Valley Animal Shelter out here in LA. And, you know, it was really cool because he saw me working with the dogs, and he would always give me props. He goes, "Hey man, you're doing a good job with that dog. Hey, keep up the good work. Hey, keep up." You know, so I've always felt like I was welcome because this guy who's this authority figure was like wanting me there, you know? And so I'm throwing a fit. I'm pissed. The volunteer coordinator comes up to me and says, "You know, we're going to have to let you go from volunteering because there are some other rules I was breaking. I was like taking dogs out I wasn't supposed to take out." And the fucked up part is like, they knew me so much that they just gave me keys. Like when I showed up, they would just give me the keys, and I would just go to any kennel I wanted and just take.
How old are you at this time?
I'm like 18, bro. Like
Dude, they give
18 years
old keys to the
Yeah. But they just gave me keys to go to whatever kennel, like the kennel keys. And cause I was in charge of like feeding them and all this other stuff. Like I was there so much that they started leaning on me for help, you know? And so anyways, so I'm throwing this fit. I'm pissed at everybody. The volunteer coordinator just fires me from volunteering. And I remember just being like, fuck you guys, you know, like, fuck this place. Like, fuck the animal shelter. Fuck that guy sitting on his computer doing jack shit. Fuck that lady. Fuck this. Fuck that. And I just remember being pissed. And the only person I liked at this time was my friend Sergio, who was the officer there. And I'm just pissed, and I'm just drawing attention to myself. And Sergio grabs me and he throws me into his office. And he goes, "Dude, you need to cool down. You need to calm down." And I just start crying. And I just remember like, just being like, fuck, man. Like, I just want to help these dogs. Like, these dogs need help. Like, I wish people cared more. And like, you know, like I just want to work with them. And he goes, "You want to work with dogs?" I said, "Yeah, man, I'll bathe them. I'll fucking wash them. I'll learn how to train them. Like, these dogs need help because no one's helping them. And I could help them, and you could help them, and everyone else here could help them." And I just was just this huge passionate shift in my brain of like, fucking my world's flipping upside down and all this shit. And I just was crying, and I felt so defeated. And you know, in retrospect, I'm like, what the fuck are you feeling? Why are you feeling so heavy about this? And it's because all the feelings I felt when I was 9, where, you know, like I wasn't 9 years old anymore. So I could do something. I was trying to help. I didn't have any money, so I couldn't like adopt those dogs and find them a home. You know what I mean? But I had time, and I felt like, if anything, now I'm more capable to do something about it. And maybe, even though I couldn't help my dog when I was 9, maybe I can help these dogs moving forward. So at that time, I was again crying in the office, and he goes, "Do you really want to work with dogs?" I said, "Yes." He goes, "All right, well, I have a number." He's like, "I'm gonna call my friend. He's a friend of the shelter. His name is Bobby Durafshar." He goes, and he just opened up a training facility, like a dog boarding and training facility in Tarzana. And he goes, he's looking for like good employees, and I'll give him a call right now. So he gets on his phone, he dials it. He doesn't answer. He goes, "Hey Bobby, there's this kid here. He's looking for a job with dogs. He seems really good. He's good with dogs. He's a little crazy, but you know, who isn't?" And then he goes, "But yeah, if you can give me a call back, this is Sergio. You should probably set up an interview with this kid." And then he hangs up the phone, and I was just like, thank you so much, you know. And I just remember getting in my little 1992 Ford Escort and just putting away out of there, you know, and never going back to the shelter. at least anytime soon, right? And so a few days later, I get a call from this guy, Bobby, and I tell him my story, kind of the story I'm telling you here. And he feels for me and he goes, all right, well, come in for an interview. And little did I know that Bobby had a kind of similar story in the 80s. Didn't know. So it's serendipitous how shit like that happens. So I meet with him and I tell him my passion. But, as a business owner, a lot of people want to like volunteer for you and like help you out and all this stuff. And you're like, yeah, okay, sure. But not necessarily does that mean I want to hire you. So he made me volunteer for like a month, right? Which I'm pretty sure is illegal. But
It's definitely
it's
illegal,
definitely illegal. But
especially
he
nowadays.
made me volunteer. And so I did. And then at some point I was like, I need to make money. Like I need to pay my rent now. And I need to, like, I have bills to pay and gas to pay for and all this stuff. Like I need to make money. So then he gave me a job as an animal care attendant, someone who scrubs kennels and takes dogs out and makes food and pretty much all the stuff I was doing at the shelter. And within a couple months, I became a training assistant. And a couple months after that, I became probably like 8 months after that, I became a trainer where I was actually like helping with follow-ups, right? So at the time, that company gave free follow-ups for anyone that was there. And that was a great way to learn, right? I was dogs who were already trained. I was just trying to help troubleshoot and problem solve dogs who were already had training under their belt. And that was fun. It got me in with people. But the funny part was that person that I had an interview with would be my mentor for the next 10 years. And that person, who is now my business partner, is one of the biggest reasons why I am successful in my life, right? And you mentioned in your interview guardian angels.
Yes, sir.
He is definitely one of my guardian angels. And even though we're kind of different people, we're kind of the same, if that makes sense. Like me and my mentor, we come from different backgrounds and cultures and different upbringings, but the core mission and the core passion is always the same. And so there was something about me that he saw, and he invested a lot more energy and time into me than all of his other trainers. And also I asked the most questions. And I was hungry. And so he taught me everything from, not just dog training, but like sales. He taught me sales. He taught me how to deal with people. He taught me how to work with rescues. He taught me how to help rescues without being taken advantage of. He taught me how to, how to package things, how to create a service. He taught me all of these things in his own way, the things that he knew how to do. And most importantly, over 10 years of mentoring him, he gave me like carte blanche to do whatever I wanted to do, because all I ever wanted to do was actually support his dream when I first started out. Like I was trying to help him build his company. And in turn, by helping someone build their company, you learn how to build a company. Right. And it's really crazy because, like when I was an ACA, when I was an animal care attendant, I would tell people that I was an assistant trainer. Right. I'd kind of lie into the future a little bit. And when I was an assistant trainer, I'd tell people I was a trainer, and then when I was a trainer, I'd tell people I was the head trainer.
Heck
Right.
yeah, dude. Why not?
And then when I was the head trainer, I told people I was the training manager. Right. And then what's so funny is every 6 months I had a new position, right? Because I would take on the responsibilities of what I envisioned myself doing. And before you knew it, I was the training manager of 2 locations of a facility out here in LA called Canines Only that's going out of business now. But Canines Only. And I managed over 2 training departments, one in the Valley, one in West LA, like Santa Monica area. And I did all of that by the time I was 27,
Pretty
27,
badass, dude.
28. Yeah. And so at that time I would call myself, I was like, I'm the youngest working professional at my level doing the things that I'm doing. And I was pretty confident that I was, right? Doesn't mean that I was the best trainer. It just means that I have the most experience in this kennel training facility for a person my age in Los Angeles, period. Right. Because I didn't have a gatekeeper, right? I didn't have someone that said, well, listen, son, like give yourself, my mentor gave me carte blanche to try new things, try new programs, develop new classes. And that was a huge developmental thing for me, because had I felt stifled, I probably would have left. You know what I mean? Had I not had that freedom, that off leash freedom, if you will, to
100%.
explore.
This is a good boss, by the way. Like, this is the epitome of a very good boss, which ended up turning out to be a very good friend and partner.
100%. Well, yeah, and so in 2018, my mentor, he sold his company. For the 10 years prior to that, I was like chalking myself up to maybe I'll take over the company, and I didn't know he was going to sell it, but in 2017 there were some, life things that changed. His sister got diagnosed with cancer, and he was just kind of like, why am I working so much? Like, I want to spend time with my family. And his kids were growing up and they were turning into teenagers. He goes, I only got like 4 more years with my kids before they leave the house. And so he started getting his priorities straight in his head, and he goes, best thing for me to do is sell this company. And so he sold it to a big competitor to VCA, right? So like, VCA is the veterinary company. There's another one. It's called the NVA, National Veterinary Association. He sold it to them. And we were their first training facility that they ever purchased. So long story short, they had no clue how to run it. So I told them, I said, hey, this is how it runs. Oh, okay, great. Thank you. But we need this manager and we need this person here. Okay, kid. Yeah, whatever. Right. And I was like, guys, seriously. All right. Well, how much money do you want to cover these 3 positions? I said, well, this is what I made last year. And it was the first year I made 6 figures as a dog trainer. Right. And they were just like, yeah, right. Yeah, right. I'm going to pay you that. They're like, we could just hire someone and we can get 3 different people for $40,000, $50,000 each. And we'll still be saving. Well, I said, yeah, but they don't have 10 years in this company and 10 years in this brand, and they don't know how the system's supposed to work. Long story short, they didn't know how to run a dog training facility. And it's my belief, and I don't know, this could get me some flack on the podcast, but I'm a huge believer that if you are an education brand, like if you are an education, you need to have dissemination from the top, which means like if there isn't a training director, if there isn't a training manager, if there isn't a person who understands the product and is able to matriculate it down to everyone else, that company, the strength and quality of that training in that company will fall apart when it's a education business, right? Like you need to have this, like a chief academic officer, a person who's responsible for the quality of the training. And a lot of companies don't run their training facilities like that, right? They just kind of, they'll hire Joe Schmo here and Joe Schmo there and Joe Schmo there without like a standard, and they'll just kind of let everyone kind of, do their best with their whatever methodologies that they know or are certified in. So I left. I started, actually before that, 2016, I started Canis LLC. Canis is Latin for dog. I started Canis LLC because my mentor, I was really busy running 2 facilities and I was like, I need an assistant. Like I need someone to help me keep my emails and my calls and like side work and all this other shit that I don't have the time to do, like the admin stuff. So he goes, why don't you start your own little company? And then you just bill our company and we'll pay you as a consulting firm, like someone who consults with our company. So I did that. And then the way I made over 6 figures that year is I was getting paid to train the staff. I was getting paid to build systems. I was getting paid to teach classes. I was getting paid to run the training department, all as a private contractor, all as with my own company, right? Canis LLC, Canis Consulting. And, that was cool. So I had this entity. And then in 2018, when he sold the company, I stayed for 10 months trying to get them to keep me. Right. And I just remember like, why am I trying so hard to get them to keep me? That's so dumb. So I just left and I started well, here's a funny thing. I had a client who, I sold them a board and train. They lived in this beautiful mansion in Malibu, right on the beach. And
Don't tell me you stayed there and trained this dog.
well, so check this out. It gets worse than that. So I trained their dog and they loved it. And then they call me right when I'm leaving the company, and I'm already on my own at this time, training like 2 dogs out of my apartment. And they said, Brent, how much would you charge us to watch our dogs over winter break? Because we're going to go to Park City, Utah, and we're going to go skiing for a month and a half. And then we just want someone to stay here to watch the dogs. And I was like, well, Maria, you know, I said this as a joke. I said, if you want me to watch your dogs, I totally would. This is just my busiest time. Unless, of course, you and Hank are okay with me running my dog training business out of your mansion. And I was laughing like, and she goes, that can be arranged. And I was like, what? What? As like a joke. I throw this out there and she's like, that could be
No.
arranged. And I said, no shit. So she goes, yeah, let's have dinner with Hank next week. So we have dinner and I tell them this is what I need. They had like a whole guest house and like a whole like 4-car garage, and they had like air conditioning in their garage, and they had all this beautiful property. And they just said, and all we ask you in return is that you watch our dogs, train our dogs, play with our dogs, all that stuff. And I said, perfect. Right.
Man,
So
what an opportunity.
yeah. So Mariano had left. Mariano from the Dog Trainers podcast, my co-host, he had left. He had left Canines Only, where I worked, to start his own company and his own brand, and I helped him build that. And then so I told him, I said, dude, I got this opportunity. This lady and her husband are letting me stay and run the business. I told him, I said, we might have like 30, 40 dogs here. And they said, okay, that's fine. And I said, dude, this is a huge opportunity. You and me, this winter, this Christmas break, we are doing a Malibu retreat for these dogs. And so we marketed to all of our clients this Malibu retreat, and we served 60 dogs in 6 weeks. Some of them were just boarding, but
Yeah.
when it came to training, so we had so many dogs that were coming, we were just like, shit, we need reinforcements. So he was dating the girl who is now his wife and the mother of his children, right? And so she came. And then my old assistant from Canines Only, I said, yo, Lee, she's this girl from Brooklyn. And I was like, yo, Lee, I need you to join us. So there's a squad of 4. And then we had like a rotating 5th person to come in. We slept in the pool house with the dogs. We rotated them at 10. We woke up at 6 in the morning. We took them all out. We played with them, we trained them, we hiked them. And it wasn't 60 all at the same time. It was like staggered. But it was nonstop for 6 weeks, just training. And we made
Enough.
a lot of money, where it was worth it for both me and Mariano to dedicate our whole holiday to this, right? And it was that money that allowed me to rent my first house. And it was that money that allowed me to hire my first employee. And her name's Christiana. She's from the Midwest. She's from Michigan. And
She's still with you?
she's still with me till this day.
Beautiful
And
thing.
and yeah, and that's how Canis behavior and training started. And I went from a team of just me to a team of 2 to a team of 4 to a team of 9, and now I have a team of 25 at my
Fucking
facility.
beautiful thing.
Yeah, man. It's crazy. And it all feels like yesterday.
Well, I got to tell you a couple things, man. One, that was an unbelievable story, and I appreciate you opening up about that, because I did not see that coming at all. And I'm very sorry that that happened to you, because that's awful. And I'm sorry that happened to Crispy. And one of my next questions was going to be, did you have a dog that changed your life? And you answered that one. And I know you answered that one. And I never knew. So I've met the dog Big Mama that he's talking about, everybody. She was a big mama, dude.
She's
Like a
a
big
big
mama.
175 Tibetan Mastiff.
Yeah. And it makes sense now, because you love Big Mama. And it all makes sense now. And it's pretty cool to be able to put that together.
Yeah, and when I was deciding to adopt, because I adopted Big Mama and Grandpa from a client of mine, and what's so funny is I had a white German Shepherd named Snow, and I had a big Chow Chow named Crispy. And so when you see Mama and Grandpa, it's a big white dog and a big orange dog. And to me, that was very fulfilling in my heart, to be like, I'm going to take these big fuckers, and love on them.
That's a beautiful thing, dude. It really is. I have a few questions, if you don't mind. Granted, I had 10 questions, but at the rate you're at answering a question, we're going to be here until next Tuesday.
I'll be faster now. I'll be faster. Yeah.
No,
That's my story, though. Yeah, that's my story. That's
no,
18
it's a beautiful
years of my
story,
life.
and I don't want you to be faster, because like I'm sitting here and I'm not taking my eyes off you, dude. Well, that sounds pretty sexual, but
what's going on?
it really is a crazy story. And it's different than most dog trainers, and it comes from a much more emotional place than than most. That was awesome. One thing I do want you to touch on, because you talked about rescue work, about how you kind of started in rescue work as an 18-year-old kid. Is that still something that holds a lot of importance in your heart?
It is, and it is something that in 2026 I am putting so much more energy into it. I think it's one of the yeah, it's like getting to watch that movie or make that piece of art that you get pushing behind to the back, like there's always something else that gets in the way, and you got to do that project. And I with a little bit of shame and guilt, like I've been to the shelters plenty of times helping clients pick out dogs and things like that, but I remember my initial mission and my initial story was like, I literally said this when I left. I said, fuck you guys, I'm going to go learn how to be a dog trainer, and I'm going to come back and help all these dogs. Right. And it used to trigger so much shame in me because, like, I was like 10 years into my career being like, you haven't been back to the shelters to help any of those dogs, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I've been busy building someone else's brand. Now, don't get me wrong. I did a lot of rescue help and rescue training and fosters and workshops and stuff, but I haven't been back to the shelters, like Robert Cabral style. Like, I haven't been back to the shelters to help those dogs because that's the epicenter, right? But then my mentor had to check me, and he goes, are you dumb? He goes, you know how many dogs you've kept from going to the shelter? You know how many dogs that people were going to euthanize them and you saved their lives? You know how many dogs that were going to get rehomed, but because you helped them, now they're living their full years with their family, and so it's like, again, it's completely true. And my big project is my nonprofit, the Canis Foundation, we're trying to build out systems that are ancillary to dog rescue. So meaning we're going to do everything except pull dogs, but all the other stuff. I think there's plenty of people who pull dogs and find them homes, but I want to do everything that supports that. And so, and that could be a separate conversation of like what those
Now,
projects.
yeah, we could definitely talk about that, and then we'll end up doing an episode on that because, as Brent and I have talked about before, I run a nonprofit that does something similar that Brent wants to do. So I'm excited to kind of we're still going to connect on that. I assume that's something that
To
we
join forces.
join forces like fucking Batman and Robin.
Can I be Batman?
Can't wait to see how you look in tights.
Oh, ooh, and a cape.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, just another quick side note, dude. Your story is impressive. I know the type of person you are. I don't know if you ever actually take a deep breath and pat yourself on the back for what you've accomplished, because you have accomplished quite a fucking lot, dude. And I am impressed by you always. And you should take a breath and be like, I don't want you to be satisfied because I want you to keep going and be hungry. But I do want you to recognize that, like, dude, think of all the things that you've accomplished, right? I mean, it really is impressive, dude. And from that 9-year-old boy, looking onto this picture right now would be so proud of the man that you are and the work that you've done. And you should really live in that for a moment and take a fucking breath to do that. It's pretty cool. Yeah. Take
Thank
your
you for
time.
that, man. That means a lot. I really do. Especially, I respect you a lot in your journey and the things you've accomplished. So, thank you. And you're not the only friend that has told me that you should pat yourself on the back. But I kind of pick who I listen to. So, so I appreciate you telling me that.
Of course, dude. I mean, it's awesome. And the good news is, out of these 10 questions, you pumped most of these out. Like, who was your biggest help in dog training? And this is your business partner, no doubt. The dog that changed your life, the rescue work that you do. I guess I'll ask you a question about, what do you perceive now? I'm assuming your definition of a well-trained dog has probably changed drastically from the Caesar Milan episode days.
Yeah.
Like, what do you perceive now as, like, okay, this is the product that I want to give to a client? What is that? Does it change from person to person? Tell me about it.
The joke I make is that dog trainers are relationship counselors for dogs and their people. And it's kind of an accurate statement because it's like we don't speak dog and they don't speak human that well. And we kind of have to come in as the intermediary and be like, all right, this is what your dog needs from you. And this is what, this is what the human needs from you, dog. And so we try and bridge that gap. Right. Um, the tagline of our company is Canis Behavior and Training for the life you lead. And that's kind of our tagline. And I picked that because, yeah, it's like, it's, I'm a big believer that there's many existences that dogs can have. So like, I'm totally okay as long as you have a secure property to have a property dog, right? Like as long as the dog is happy and you love them and you spend some time with them, that's okay if he lives outside, right? If you have an inside outside dog that comes in sometimes and sometimes spends half the day outside, that's cool too. I'm cool if you have a Pomeranian who never leaves your apartment. I'm cool with that too. Let's just make sure he's shitting in the right place and, he's friendly to your guests and all that stuff, right? So people live different lifestyles, and my whole goal is how do we find the best compromises, right? Like nothing's perfect, but how can we as dog trainers and as educators, how can we teach people to make, necessary compromises for the happiness of their families and the happiness of their dogs? So yeah, I think a well-trained dog is a dog that fits into the life you lead. That's kind of my philosophy on it. And I'm open to a bunch of different lives as long as the dog's not being abused and as long as the dog is content and feels like they have purpose. I'm cool with it. I'm cool with a lot of lifestyles.
I think that takes a big ego check in order to do that, because the average dog trainer has their own idea of what a perfect dog is. But a perfect dog in your home is different than a perfect dog in my home, and vice versa in the client's home too. So it's a big ego check. Got to be willing to dish that to the side.
Percent. Yeah. I have very strong beliefs that I hold loosely. So like if if that makes sense, like I believe what I believe very strongly until someone can prove me wrong. And if you can prove me wrong, okay, great. I'll take that. I'll take that into consideration.
That's fair. That's totally fair. Okay, Brent, we're moving on to your third question, approximately 40 minutes in, which is a beautiful thing. When you look at yourself and you compare yourself to other dog trainers, not in a negative way, but when you compare yourself, what is something that you're proud of that you bring to the table more than most?
I like creating systems, and I really am attracted to taking someone who is who's a novice and trying to build up their skill set, right? Like, and I love that because ultimately, like my whole mission currently in life is to give other people the same love and freedom that my mentor gave to me, right? And the same support, the same security. And even when I told Mariano I want to do the Dog Trainers podcast, I was like, I think there's a way that we can mentor people, and give them the attention and the help. Because for me, it's like, even with my staff, it's like, I want to give them the love that my mentor gave me. I want to give them the guidance. I want to, people who are hungry and want to grow. I can only help them grow in the things that I've grown in, right? I'm not going to, be a poser, but at least in the field of dog training, it's important that I give that love to my staff and my clients, and that my staff gives that love back to their clients. So through that process, in order to hit that goal or meet that mission, I got to be really good at breaking things down. I got to be really good at teaching. I got to be really good at figuring out 5 different ways to explain the exact same thing. And maybe that's what I mean by systems. Like, I really love taking information and breaking it down so I can make it chewable in bite-sized pieces for people, because I feel that that's the only way that people grow.
Yeah, you do that for me.
Sweet.
All the time. All the fucking time.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's a gift. That's a beautiful gift. What, looking back on all the years of you training dogs, is there something that you feel like you would like? I know this is going to be for owners specifically. Is there something that you would tell an owner right now about training their dog that maybe they're doing too much of, not doing enough of? What is the thing that you can give them that is, hey, from my years of experience, this is tangible advice for you, for everybody?
Yeah, I would say there's 4 main reasons why I feel like people let their dogs get out of hand. And number 1 would be like, I just don't know what I'm doing, which is fair, right? You're ignorant. You don't know what to do. No one's ever taught you. It could be your first rodeo. You don't know how to raise this dog. So like, as trainers, it's perfect because it's like, oh, you're a new dog owner? Let me teach you. And as long as you're willing and coachable, those are some of the best clients because they're easy peasy. Number two could be like, I don't have time. Like, I don't got the time to make a difference in my dog's life. Like, even me personally, I spend so much time training other people's dogs. I hired someone to be my dog's caretaker, right? So when I'm gone 8 hours, 9 hours a day, they're getting walked and hiked and fed. And like, even right now, while I'm doing this podcast, they're being taken care of because I don't have the time to do it myself, right? So that's one thing. The third thing is there's like this mentality that people have, which I believe is partially true. The third thing is people believe like, just let dogs be dogs. Like, let them be. Like, don't stifle, don't break their spirit. Like, just let them be dogs, which is fine and all when the dog is doing nice things, like, you know, kissing you on the face and demanding attention and jumping on you. But like, not when the dog is just being a dog and like being protective and trying to bite, you know, the little kids across the street. Like, they're just being a dog, right? Like, you're trying to kill your cat. So that mentality of like, just let them be dogs. I agree with it to an extent, but a dog under control, right? And then the fourth thing is, I think that the modern dog ownership is filled with a lot of guilt and a lot of shame. And I think guilt is not a productive way to raise something, right? Because then you're kind of setting yourself up where you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? I see this paradigm where like you get these really sweet, agreeable people who are just like, it's okay, got to be patient with my dog. It's like the gentle parenting of dog ownership.
Mm-hmm.
They're patient, they're patient, they're patient. The buttons are getting pushed more, and then at some point that owner goes, fucking knock it off, and then they do something to make the dog stop. Well, it wasn't the screaming that made the dog stop. It was the fact that you got up and did something that made the dog stop. But the problem with that is when you feel bad about setting rules and boundaries on your dog, you got to get so worked up so that you can take action that now you feel bad about disciplining your dog, right? So it's like you had to let it get so out of hand that you had to get so out of hand in order to control it. And now you think controlling your dog is bad. So it's kind of like this vicious cycle that happens. It's like people feel bad. They know they should put rules on dogs, but they feel bad about doing it because the way that they give discipline is unfair or too extreme, right? And like as dog trainers, our job is to really try and help people like stop the problem when it's tiny. So that way you don't got to be a dick, you know, like don't let it get, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, don't let it get to a 9. Stop it when it's a 4. And then you don't have to be mean to your dog. And then that way you don't have to feel bad about having a dog under control, because the biggest takeaway for all of this is like, I can't keep my dog safe if I have no influence over them, right? Like my dog's social career is rooted in how much influence I have over them. I can't take my dog anywhere. I can't put my dog around any people if I don't have influence over them. So that wasn't one tip, but I guess that whole concept I think is really important for dog owners.
I love it. And you can let dogs be. So dogs being dogs was easier when everybody lived on an acre or 3 acres or 5 acres. It's quite difficult when you live in an apartment building or neighborhood where there are kids riding bikes in the whole 9 yards. It's a different world, dude. And I say this all the time. We adapted so fast and our dogs did not. Like we changed all the rules to the game, and the dogs are still waiting to be told that the rules have changed from our end. And yeah, that is so true. All right, dude, I would like to know a couple different facts about you.
Okay.
All right, so I know you're a great Brent is a great singer. Actually, we do a tremendous karaoke of "Picture" by Kid
Oh,
Rock and
we
Cheryl
should
Crow.
we should post that on Instagram. I have that video, by the way.
Please, oh please, God, no, please.
I think you were singing "It's Raining Men." Is that...
Oh, dude, I was legendary on it. That's my go-to, actually. That's my party trick. But give me 3 things that I personally don't know about you. I know you're good on the piano. I know you're a good singer. I know you. She used to actually work at Chippendales, believe it or not.
No,
So I know all
shut
these
up.
things
Shut
about you.
up.
So
I would get
give me
kicked out of
3.
the room. They'd be like, "Who invited this guy for the audition?"
You just put a banana in it and call it a day.
Yeah.
All right, so
Okay.
give me something.
3 facts that you don't know about. I'm a Libra. Did you know that?
Do you believe in that stuff?
mean, as far as I can throw it, you know, like, yeah, like it works when it works and it works when it doesn't, you know? So if like there's a girl who believes in that stuff, I'll be like, I'm totally a Libra, you know, I'm a Libra all day, you know? I'm into personalities. I'm into like, profiles, you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the Big Five and, Enneagram or like the Myers-Briggs. Like I'm
What are
into
you on
stuff.
the Enneagram?
I'm a helper.
What number is that?
Number two.
I'm number 8.
Oh, that make no, but you sometimes twos identify as eight, but we'll have to talk more. I'm really good at Enneagram. When I was 25, I studied the Enneagram in and out, in and out. I can. Oh fuck, I'm so
I
good at
can't
it.
stand you.
I,
I
I've
literally
I'm so. Oh, it was so funny because I learning to. What I loved about it was the grouping of characteristics, and it was like that helped me so much in dog training and like assessing
absolutely.
like groups of characteristics and traits and how like you can have this temperament with these characteristics, but if you change one thing, like if you make that personality defensive, it behaves this way. And so I just thought like it was so cool. It was so fucking cool. But anyways, I digress. So that's
Did you
one.
ever go to a quick side note on this? Did you
Yeah,
ever
yeah.
go to a lesson and they tell you one thing about your dog or about their dog and you're like, "Does your dog also do this and this and
Yep.
this?" And they're
And you're
like,
just
"Yeah,
killing
how'd you
it.
know all that?" It's
Yeah.
like, "'Cause they're all connected."
Yeah. Yeah. You're like,
Yeah.
because it's a cluster of behaviors. Yeah. Nothing happens in a vacuum. That's
And
because it's
they think
connected.
you're a wizard.
Yeah.
"He's a wizard, Harry."
Harry.
All right, give me something. Also, did you take a guess of what I am, by the way, on the
You're a Leo.
dude, how'd you know?
Fucking look like a lion.
Nah, I'm a Pisces.
Damn
That's
it.
why I don't believe in any of that stuff.
Damn it.
All right, moving on.
All right.
Give me fact number 2.
Fact number 2. I'm a really good cook. I'm a really good cook,
You
actually.
are a good cook.
I'm a good cook. I'll cook you up something nice. I like recipes. I can't say I've memorized things, but give me a recipe, I'll fucking slay that shit.
All right.
Um, Number 3, my best dog, Dynamite, Black Dynamite.
Big D.
Big D, Black D, Big Black D. Um,
Don't edit any of this.
okay, I won't. I won't. Black Dynamite is the best dog I've ever trained and owned, right? But I don't like him that much, if that makes sense. It's kind of weird. I think it's a toxic trait in me. He's so cooperative and so obedient and wants to be with me all the time that there's this weird part in me that's just like, I wish you were more difficult. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you need to talk to somebody about
I
that,
think I
brother.
should. I need to talk to my therapist, Hank. Hank, what does this mean? Am I the problem? Is it me? Is it me? Am I toxic? But yeah, I mean, that's it. That's that. Those are 3 right there, man.
I dig it. And let's leave everybody on one last note. Anything else you want to say to the people?
Guys, I'm excited for this podcast. The Dog Owner Podcast, like this is just the beginning. We got a couple cool interviews coming up. One with a very well-known veterinarian that's coming on sometime soon.
Sometimes some people would say slightly controversial veterinarians.
Slightly controversial. Ooh,
Yeah.
let the suspense build. But yeah, I think we want to get a lot of voices on here to help educate our audience, and it's kind of tough because it's like we have to also kind of curate people that we believe in and people that we don't believe in a way, right? Like we have to kind of guide you guys through what we believe, or is good information and bad information. So it's a huge responsibility. So I appreciate you guys trusting us for that and listening. But yeah, I'm excited for this podcast. Thanksgiving's going to be around the corner. The 2025 is going to come to an end really, really quick. So my brain is already thinking about what January is going to do and what February is going to do. And, knock on wood, obviously, no one's guaranteed tomorrow, but, I'm optimistic about it and, can't wait to see this podcast grow. Can't wait to see, our projects grow and have you guys along for the ride. That's legitimately, that's what I'm super excited about.
I love it, dude. And I want to say, I know that I'm one of many people that watch this that appreciate your time, appreciate everything you do, and most importantly, appreciate you being vulnerable today, telling your story. And that is the Dog Owners Podcast. That is Brent. I am Vinnie. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next episode, Q&A.
Let's do it.
A lot of questions and answers that we have to get to. So we look forward to that next. See you guys later.